Boxing King Media, powered by BYD and the Riyadh season. Eddie Hearn, we've just seen the press conference fire away. You've obviously spoken a lot about the press, so it's a couple of different questions for you. Terence Crawford, is he a promotionally free agent? What's his situation, do you know?
I mean, he has an agreement with Riyadh season, so I don't think he's signed to a promoter, but, you know, obviously he's got his own deal, so I don't think he necessarily needs, well, he does need representation, but probably doesn't need to or doesn't want to be paying someone for that when he's already done his deal. So Terence in a great position. Obviously he's got his excellency behind him. He's a big fan of his, and, you know, if he wins on Saturday, I'm sure he'll land another big fight.
I was just curious about that because it's not really mentioned anywhere. And then Gerald Miller, I think he said early in the week that this is his last fight under Dimitri Salita. He's had a lot to say about Dimitri as well. So it looks like he's going to be fishing for another promoter. And I've seen you guys have been kind of flirting, best way I can describe it.
Do you know what? It's, you know, he describes it as a love-hate relationship. I think that's definitely right. I mean, I never hated anyone, but I disliked Jarrell Miller when the incident happened around the AJ fight, because I'd worked really hard to get him that opportunity, and I couldn't believe he balls that up. And I took it quite personally because obviously AJ is a friend of mine. I've always said that I wouldn't work with him again, and despite, say, idiots on Twitter who are now saying, oh, he's going back on his word. This is not my show. I didn't do that fight deal. I didn't do the deal against Dubois. I was just involved working with the show on a fight that somebody else made. So I've never had Jarrell Miller on my show since that. Would I? I guess you never say never. I don't like going back on my word. I don't know. It's the classic, you know.
You're thinking about it now.
No, it's the classic. Does everybody deserve another chance? Do you know what I mean? I think if you fuck up in life and you make a big mistake, obviously there's levels to that mistake, and some things I think you should never receive another chance for. But something like that, you know, if you ask me now, I think I'll stand on my position. But, you know,
if he beats Andy Ruiz,
it's not really because that's a little bit of a dogma, you know. Just because he becomes a bigger name and he has a bigger commercial draw, that is what most promoters would do, and I can't say that wouldn't play on my mind to make a big fight. Obviously, if he had no commercial value, it would make sense for me not to put him on because I'm standing by my word. If I had a fighter that wanted to fight him that could make a lot of money, would I go back and put him on one of my shows? Maybe. I mean, it might be a hypothetical, you know, conversation or situation. So, but I do like Jarrell Miller. Like, you know, I can't help but enjoy his company and the way that he promotes fights, and, you know, he made the presser today. So we'll see. Tough fight against Andy Ruiz.
Just two quick ones. Shakur Stevenson, I saw you putting your arm around him earlier. I spoke to him as well. He's saying he hasn't decided who he's going to go with yet. So what is the latest on that?
Nothing really, just talking to him and his team. You know, a great bunch of people, great fighter. Hopefully we can work together, but obviously it's got to make sense for everybody.
Last one, I think the interview we did the other day has done like over 2 million views on socials. You know, you was quite passionate about how you spoke about the UK and the state it's in. I just want to highlight as well, it's important because, you know, we saw a narrative being put out by certain people saying, you know, it was this person who did the crime the other day came from a certain community. He obviously isn't since, and sometimes people don't correct that and people kind of just run away with that narrative.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I saw, you know, obviously the interview got reposted everywhere, and, you know, I think I don't know enough about what the problem really is, but what I do know is there's a massive problem. Do you know what I mean? So you're never going to necessarily, unless I run for Parliament, which was a joke, but you never know, you're never going to see me come out and start talking about policies and what we need to do is we need to do this on, you know, with policing and this with immigration and this. I think there's people that are better educated to make the correct decisions. But what I'm speaking about is what is happening on the streets and what is happening every day in the news and to our kids, to innocent people walking the streets. That's the problem that needs to be stopped, needs to be changed. I'm not, you know, people will try and use my words to say, oh, he's talking about this. I'm really not. What I'm talking about is what is happening that needs to stop. I don't know the answer. You know, and if there's any answers, for me, it's more about actually educating kids and providing opportunities within the community through sport. But it's a much deeper problem than that now. Do you know what I mean? There's got to be, you know, the one action that needs to be taken is by the government and by the police to make people fearful of committing crimes, because there's no fear. There's no fear for someone to walk up to a car, to try and get in it, to nick something, to carry a knife, to stab someone, to break into someone's house. There's no fear for consequences, and that has to change.
I just wanted to highlight neither of us are extreme right, because the way it got put out there, people trying to make it sound like it was some sort of promotional video for that.
Yeah. No, I think that, you know, you're always going to get aligned to certain movements. For me, my movement is this: make the streets safer. And I don't know the answer, but that's your fucking job to find the answer.
On that note, Eddie Hearn, thank you.